Hello and welcome to Carlube. In this episode we are readdressing headlights hemorrhaging condensation. We have a very moist electrical ballast.
That ballast is absolutely sodden.
And we'll offer a couple of smart fix solutions for when the hairdryer technique isn't good enough because your lights are fried. On my M3, I have a persistent issue regarding condensation building up within my headlights, which I mentioned in this former video can be dealt with a couple of steps that don't involve taking the car to pieces. From time to time, perfectly healthy headlights will condensate due to the poor design of the units, and with over 70,000 views of this video, this must be true. But for instances where the headlight has sustained some kind of damage, either a crack or a seal has perished, the sheer amount of water penetrating the headlight will drip down into the electrical control ballast, which will eventually pack up altogether. In this video, we will carry out the task of addressing this issue. So as we can see here, Lee is working on the first liner. We've got both wheels off now, and the reason we're taking the liner off because it's just easier to access the bumper bolts, and it's easy to access the bolts for the liner with the wheels off, so that's our rationale. So we've got the liner here. See how it rubs on the tyre there. I have already done a video outlining the exact steps of how to take the headlights off the car. I'll put the link in the top and I'll put it in the description. So we're going to gloss over this part to a degree because I've already covered that in another video. So although I've only got one ballast actually faulty at the moment, we're going to take both off and just make sure they're both in good order. The ballast is this part here.
So this is the light that we've got the issues with. As we can see here, the condensation along the top of the headlight. The ballast is, to all intents and purposes, dead. So we're just taking that off now. We're going to dry out the light completely and change the ballast, but it'd be interesting to see what sort of state it's in. The last time I did this job, I did actually waterproof the hell out of the ballast and the wires, and we can see straight away there is water in there, and my attempt to hold that up.
Just turn it the other way, because otherwise we're just going to get water everywhere.
So my attempt to waterproof it didn't exactly work, as we can see there. The problem with these lights are that water gets in here, and don't ask me, you can see the amount that's dripping out of it right now. It's not because the headlights are not sealed, although we are going to reseal them as well. Any water that gets in there due to the heat convection from the headlights and the plastic and the cold atmosphere outside then travels to the lowest point of the headlight, which is the ballast, which we can see underneath there. Now, condensation alone is a bit annoying, but when you've got electrical computers or amplifiers for the headlight underneath, that's where the water gathers at the lowest point, and the result of that, it kills your electrics.
See, that side doesn't look wet.
There's literally no water in there. I've waterproofed this side as well, and this side seems to have stood the test of time, although I do get condensation from time to time on this headlight as well. There's none in there right now. That ballast is absolutely fine, but we will use a hairdryer on it and just make sure that that's nice and dry before we put it back on the car. That ballast is absolutely sodden. Literally, that will be ruined. I mean, we don't need to see inside it. We could drill it open and have a look.
I just need to put some heat into that now and get it to start drying off. That side's, for all intents and purposes, I think that's absolutely fine.
Inside of the ballast aperture, shall we say, this ballast is absolutely fine, and I have waterproofed it, as you can just about see here. It didn't do a great deal with the amount of water that managed to get into the other headlight, but on this one it seems absolutely fine. We are going to take an extra measure. We've just checked the seal is okay on there. That's a a gasket that can't be brought separately from the headlight from BMW. I have tried that because it's actually in good shape, so that's absolutely fine. We are going to pop some silicone gel bags into this little cavity here, and hopefully that will be absolutely fine. So pop a couple in there, Lee. Just at the lowest point, if any moisture gets down there, hopefully the silicone bags will actually soak that up. Now this ballast does get quite hot, but I'm fairly confident that should be okay. So 3 bags okay?
I wonder if I can get another one in, because that slides underneath there.
Yeah, maybe pop another one in there. We'll do that with both headlights. Right, okay, so then that gets bolted down with 4 securing bolts, and that's that. So what we're attempting to do now is, you see this seal along here, this is where the light butts up to the back bezel. We're going to silicone that on the outside with some aquarium silicone, so hopefully that will offer us some protection. I'm also checking all of the rubber gaskets inside of the headlight to make sure they're okay and they're dry. So as you can see here, what we're going to attempt is to silicone seal all around that seal. So this is our knackered ballast, and as I turn it upside down, it's still dripping water. You can see that just on there. Lots and lots of water has gone in there. The new one is this unit here that I've got, which is just again another reconditioned one. That's the reference number that's specific to my car. I did find that if it didn't have the 01 at the end of it, it didn't power the lights, because I think there's 2 kinds or 2 varieties. I'm not sure how pertinent it is that I've got adaptive headlights on mine, and perhaps some cars that don't have the adaptive don't need the 01 on that reference number. But we're going to take some measures to try and keep that water out of there. The plan is to, again, use silicone gel just in the top there as we did in the other headlight, and then we're going to plug this in, and as this is the only point where water can actually penetrate, we did try on this one to use waterproof tape, and you can see the flaps there, and I also wrapped the plugs completely around, but that didn't stop anything. So what we're going to attempt to do this time is perhaps use a bead of silicone around the plug once that's installed, and just plug up that hole as much as possible, so the only hole there is the one that the plug actually goes through. So we're just applying some silicone around any exposed holes around the cover. It may not do anything, but again, we're just trying to prevent any ingress at all of water. So this is the problem light, and we're finding that there's more of a gap around the lens to the black plastic.
Yeah, and if I squeeze it in, you can see luckily on this side sort of thing how far it goes in.
So as we said, we're also silicone gelling around the plug, again, to stop any way that the water can make its way in there, really. The thing to know is that all BMW headlights will get a cycle of condensation for them. So if you have got a crack in your lights, it will obviously be amplified and much, much worse. And we've identified on my lights that perhaps the seal was a bit more deteriorated on this light that we're working on right now. So that's why repeatedly, 2nd or 3rd time, we've had issues with the water getting in and killing the ballast. So we're just putting the silicone gel back in this one as well, like we did on the other side. Again, just an extra measure. And another idea that we did come across that we were thinking about doing, Lee works with a lot of electrical things in you're an engineer, security. Where's the other balance? There we go. I'll show you on this one here. What we did think about doing was actually drilling off these pop rivets that are on here, exposing the whole ballast with this cover off, and then filling it up with electrical gel.
Yeah, it's like a waterproofing gel we use for our external connections. So we do data connections outside, electrical connections.
Yeah.
It's basically a non-electrical gel. You just fill the whole thing.
I'll put a link perhaps so that you can see what we're talking about. But the only problems that we could foresee was this does get quite hot, and we didn't know if we'd be potentially killing a ballast straight away by introducing the gel. There was a couple of I wasn't willing to try this time, but I think
it should, because this is basically a heat sink, so that is going to dissipate the heat.
Yeah.
But it depends if the gel that we've got we can get underneath the whole board. Basically the whole board needs to be coated top to bottom and all around the connections once it's on, but I don't know.
Okay, alright, that's fine. So they're both the same. One goes on here aiming downward. So the drain holes, this little rubber, and we have checked that that's free from any debris. Test lights?
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay, so ignition on.
yeah.
Job done. See you on the next video.
You see that M button there on the steering wheel? Yes, there it is. Many people ask, what is this button for? Does it make the car faster? In answer to that question, yes, it can do, but there is much more to it than that.